Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Heart of Scrolls. um, Today we're gonna. I know that didn't go too well, but that's what we're gonna roll with because I'm the host today, and that's how the way I host. And today we're gonna address ESL and talk some about that. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the usual crew we have, but fortunately, we get some new and cool guys that you all want to see. And so here we have them. First up, we got Sark. Sark, why don't you
Hello.
say hello to everyone?
I'm the guy that plays the deck that everyone hates. Hi.
Sark is a very outspoken guy. He loves to talk about one of the more newer cards in the test server called, no, not card, but deck, called Pudding, and tell everyone why it's okay. So,
I would
uh,
say,
uh, I-
in server, it's alright.
yeah, and I'm happy to have him here. And then we got Superb Simon. Say hello.
Hello,
Why don't you introduce yourself a bit,
I'm-
Simon?
co-founder of Rats and Bunnies with the Purple Pansy, and I like bunnies and decay.
You were the founder?
Yep,
Co-founder.
Co-founder.
Co-founder. I actually didn't know that. I didn't.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah, I learned. We all learned. And then we got today our lovely behind the scenes, but now in front of the scene, Ice Cream.
Hello, everybody. I'm here.
Happy to have you.
Thank you.
And I am the Overlord. Today's host, and therefore it's probably not gonna be as sexy as Smogan. But we could not have Smogan today.
Smoking
No.
betrayed us.
No, he didn't betray us. He just had a life. And so we had our 2 weeks of ESL so far. There have been, when it comes
Three.
to the
Three.
mirror matchup, with the order and the energy.
And the decay.
And
And decay.
Yeah,
No.
okay.
Decay has
that
happened.
the decay happened.
Yes.
This week. What's the case?
It was order, decay, energy.
So energy happened this week.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but the decay is happening this week, but it hasn't
No,
happened
growth is
yet.
happening. Growth is
Growth-
happening this
growth
week.
this week.
Yeah, but no, decay.
Highlander is the week after.
Growth is this week, and next week is Highlander, I think.
That's the
I-
way
I-
it goes.
When the hell did decay happen? But okay. You know, this is good stuff to tell me beforehand.
This is good
Well, you
stuff. You
did.
should have prepared. So,
We did tell you
Well, I
that.
thought it was prepared. Oh my god. Well, we're still gonna address this 3 weeks of mirror matchup. Well, so that happened. But before we do that and dive into all of the ESL, both about what we feel about the formats and what we think will happen in the coming matches and some of our reflections in the previous matches, I'd like to hear some from our guests, what they been doing this couple of weeks. Let's start with Sark. Sark, what have you been up to lately?
Well, I've been mostly it's just been playing in the ESL with the various decks and then trying to make Pudding not overpowered with cubes and finding a way to make Mess survive waypoints. Went on quite the
Pudding.
adventure. Yeah, Pudding went on quite the adventure in the Order ESL. I don't know how that happened, and then I've bombed out of the 2 others in
Maybe you
quite
just
disappointing
killed.
fashion. Probably not.
I think it might be. Pudding, by the way, I think most people know, but in case someone don't know, pudding is essentially you play with growth and you ramp a lot of resources with the new pudding system that gives you resources for playing units. Yeah, and what have you then been doing, Simon? This couple of
On the
weeks?
test server, I've been messing around with an Undead Rush deck from Decay. Hasn't lost yet? I don't think it's lost yet, which is a good sign, meaning it's strong. Other than that, we're playing. Yeah, I missed Energy 1 because I didn't play Energy. Other two, I failed miserably, unfortunately.
Know the feel, bro.
So there haven't been yet any new rat meta you've been able to come up with. Pudding is offering some.
I know there is a. Yep, that's the only way bunnies or rats get into deck, apart from one deck, which.
And
I
everyone
killed
wants to
straight.
kill the deck. The monsters.
Exactly. It's very sad.
Yeah,
Bad day
when
for
we
the bunny
finally get bunnies into the competitive scene here, we want to remove the deck. It's horrible.
It is.
It's amazing.
We actually don't really want to remove the deck. We just want to tone down a bit some of the things. But that's not what we plan to discuss today. But Ice Cream, what have you been doing this last weeks?
Last week, does it have to be Scrolls related?
Nah, I suppose not. You can talk about your daily life of aftershave or
I
whatever.
would love to actually, because I'm really hyped. You know, Steam released workshop tools for the Dota 2 to make custom maps, and
Yay.
I've been all in it, making my custom map and coding and, you know, game designing essentially. And yeah, so no
With
scrolls
Desert
for me
Mojo.
last weeks. It's
It's
just
like having Scrolls podcast. Like, what have you been doing?
Well, if you're-
Ice Cream, I love Dota.
if you're asking about what I have been doing, then I
Yeah,
have to say what I've been doing.
It's fair answer. I just find it a bit funny.
Yeah,
Um,
it is.
All right, but
I'm wearing a,
alright,
I'm wearing a Dota hoodie right now. If you can see, it's like the Dota symbol.
Oh,
and
love
I'm wearing a Where the hell is the
this is
logo?
a Juggernaut
Don't
t-shirt.
don't I have a logo on this? Yes, there it is. I'm wearing a Posten for the post office.
Legit.
Designer.
All right, so
Something
ESL.
Very much near you.
This apparently 3 weeks. You had to definitely fill me in on that. Have
We
it
did.
gone as you expected? Did something exciting happen? Like, oh, that's true, you can do this in Mirror. I'm like, oh, or whatever. Did
I was
you?
surprised. I was surprised in
Order.
the ASL to see the amount of Scammer Warriors being used. I thought they weren't going to be used due to the threat of curse. You know, just curse the Scammer Warrior and then it just dies.
Yeah.
But
Well,
people ran it with great success, and that
I
surprised
never
me.
lost to it, but I never won against it either. So I didn't have much experience against it, but it did seem pretty good. In the order one, it was fairly obviously Temple Order versus 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 Temple Order.
Versus Temple Order again, with some spiky units thrown in there because spiky, and
Yep.
they weren't useful anyway.
Well, there's essentially just crossbowmen to deal with that. So it's
Yeah.
not too bad of a choice to go with some spiky in the order mirror. Might be more problematic in the future. There's also armor to deal with it. So you ignore it with
Balance.
armor. That is probably the best approach for the most part, having your windshield kill it. But yes, so you felt Scavenger Memory surprised you being used in the decay, and then pretty much as expected, there was a ton of tempo order in the order one. Did something
Energy.
catch your attention with the energy?
I didn't really get a chance. I was playing mess against Ghost Bomb, and suddenly just Machinate bombarded me, and I died. So I didn't exactly
Thank
get to
God.
experience a lot of different things in the Energy ESL. But lack of incendiaries, surprisingly enough, against me.
But Tick
you
Bomb.
like? What did you say? What did it say about Tick Bomb?
Sick Bomb,
Well, I saw Tick Bomb being played a bit
Sick Bomb, that's it.
because structures are big in energy, and they have the only structure removal from Tick Bomb. So
Tick Bomb being
Bobby.
played wasn't that big of a surprise because basically every energy deck ever right now runs at least one triplicate of structures. So
Very much so. Do you feel did you watch anything of it, David? Or Ice Cream?
Not much, honestly. No,
Well, what
I'm
did you
sorry.
see?
I think I turned it on for a second, and I saw people playing, and one of them won. It was really cool.
You watched some of it at the commercial break for the Dota League.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
why are
waiting
you
for the
so
second part of
unfaithful?
this show where I can actually contribute, but when it comes to the past ESLs, I'm not too sure what I can say.
Yeah, that's okay. I didn't watch too much of the matches myself because I was a bit focused on modding them, and somehow I totally missed that decay happened. I must have been very. No, I wasn't modding that one. Yeah, I must have been really busy that week. I like totally
You
forgot.
lost.
Must have been.
A week.
I know, like I was too busy. I didn't even notice decay had happened. Who won it? Who won decay?
Donkey.
Do anyone remember?
I think it was Donkey.
Okay, thing.
Yeah, it sounds about right. Yeah, that could have happened. All right. So, for the how do you feel about how All Star works? Do you like All Star?
All Star's an interesting concept. I mean, you can get some pretty cool mind games when it comes to the mirror matches, and because there's different archetypes in every single faction, you don't just get the same deck versus each other most of the time. On orders kind of screwed in that regard, but hey, it might get better with waypoints since the knights have been introduced. I generally dislike the fact that we have best of ones in the first 2 rounds because generally it lends us because Scrolls is a card game. There's gonna be RNG, and I find that if you had everything be best of 3, there would be less chance of someone being screwed over 3 times in a row. Although that does happen.
22 times in a row.
First turn advantage is also a continuous problem in Scrolls that has yet to be addressed. So there's a lot of things that really affects the competitive play and makes it really hard to actually lift it up, especially with the current single elimination format.
So you prefer having a really long tournament to reduce the RNG in it?
Really long or really long, I prefer some way to reduce the RNG. I mean, Scrolls does have a little bit of a match problem with the fact that it's hard to judge how long things are going to go. They can go an hour, they can go 5 minutes. But I do feel that as long as we keep these events to single days, we really do handle the ways to have some really good competitive Scrolls tournaments. But then again, getting people to do 2-day commitments is also really hard.
I think the general argument that the ESL often have about that is that you have several weeks to play, so it sort of evens out over the course of time. But I can agree when it comes to this All-Star, we don't really do that. It's that specific week for that specific thing. So the
I mean,
the RNG do have some more impact when it comes to the All-Stars.
Yeah, I mean, in the other tournament, you kind of have this whole rock, paper, scissors thing with the decks and all that thing, and that's more limited because in the mirror matches, because some mirrors don't really have the perfect counters to each other, so you generally get some more limited matches when it comes to counters and building the right deck to counter your opponent. And since you sometimes only specialize in a few factions, you have one shot and then you just get screwed on the draw sometimes. Or maybe you get insane luck and make it farther than you had to. So I'm not a fan of the format for the All-Stars tournament right now.
Do you have some thoughts about this Ice Cream?
Yeah, there's like hours and hours we could discuss the formats of tournaments, but I think Scrolls is fairly good at letting the better player win most of the time, and while RNG happens, it's not that often. So I wouldn't necessarily compare. Some people in chat are mentioning Extra Grids and his new video, and where he suggests that card tournament should be round robin and have like a lot of matches to actually assess who can win. But I think Scrolls is not really the game that's comparable next to the classic CCGs that we have. Like you running the same system as Hearthstone tournaments is stupid, because in Hearthstone there's infinitely more RNG and you need more to tell who's better. In Scrolls it's not as bad, but we
Just
need
because the randomness is minimized doesn't mean it isn't there. You're still
Yeah,
drawing cards.
yeah,
You can
yeah.
still get ultimately screwed. The first turn advantage is a big random factor, and the first turn
Yes.
advantage is even bigger in Scrolls than it is in Hearthstone, because of the Hearthstone has the coin and Scrolls doesn't.
Well, I don't want to
Also,
go into the
Mojang
coin.
continues to hold on to some design practices that randomness is fun in a game like this.
Yeah,
And
but
I
it
totally agree
is.
with
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I'm not saying the RNG is not there and that it's not a factor. I don't want to discuss that at all, because that's not the topic I think we should have this week. But I think the RNG in Scrolls is not as big, which means we don't need best of 12, and we are okay with best
Oh,
of
of
10,
course not.
for example.
But
So
having a best of one match is rather nonsensical. You
yeah,
do agree
of
with
course.
that?
So while we need to step it up and have double eliminations and best of threes where possible, we do not need to overdo it and have 4 day long tournaments. I think that
Yeah.
we can have pretty normal system without doing it too much. If you get what I'm trying to say.
And I agree with both of you, but the issue we have at the moment when it comes to the ESL is the time limit. So they have approached with that you have a chance again to gain your points with the next week around, as you play several weeks before you reach the playoff. So I am more the questioning when it comes to the all-star format. That is a bit more what I question. But I'd like to hear some from you, Simon. Simon, you should have
When you
at
say
least some.
format, when you say format, do you mean each tournament on their own or collective series?
I meant in that specific, we've been talking just generally how we feel about the ESL format with the best of one at start and all that. But in that specific sentence, I meant format as in All-Star, we have mirror versus mirror in one faction, and then next time we have mirror versus mirror in next faction. That makes it so this random best of one at the start it doesn't even out over the weeks, because we're only playing 1 week with this rule, so to speak, with the faction. That is what I meant in that sentence. But you can address something else with the format, so to speak.
I like it's a different change to the regular anything versus anything, like everything goes, but it's not something that who's like the best and like the best of the best, as in all on like different weeks. You say the randomness doesn't change, so and also the mirror match to enhance the randomness. Does that make sense? Like whoever gets the one card that can't be counted in, I don't know what it would be.
Oh yeah. In mirror matches, because everyone has the same cards, randomness does play in a lot more.
Yeah.
Can I jump in?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Here's the problem. I've been reading chat and this came to my mind. The big problem, I think, with ESL All-Star Tournament is that we have no normal tournaments in between.
It's a
like,
guess game.
Sorry?
Oh, sorry, I thought.
No, it's like we have a season every now and then. We have the summer, and we had what was it? Autumn, spring, and all these series. And
Winter.
suddenly we have a season when there's like no competition, and there's this for fun series. And while it's fun to have during the summer to have a bit of time off, I think we are missing like in future for ESL. I would love them to hold. Let's just space it out. I don't know who typed it in chat, but space those all stars in between the normal tournament, so you can have normal ESL to see how the meta is doing, who's the best, and then I don't want to say a little bit more casual, but I'll say it a little bit more casual. All star match with Highlander and mirrors and whatever. But I'm kind of missing the normal tournaments. Then about you.
I don't like the normal ESL format either because it becomes a guess game or a coin flip where you just pick a deck and then you go. I mean,
Yeah,
there's not really a lot of strategy to that. You're just picking a deck and then go. And if I get Mess versus the K, then great. But
what's the
and that sucks.
ideal deck rules in your opinion?
Well, I'd say something like double deck tournament, or at least a way to prepare your decks with a sideboard. I mean, some way of knowing and emphasizing the strategic aspect of playing the game rather than picking the right deck in a blind coin flip.
Yeah. I mean, double deck tournament, I don't know how Atmas came up with it, but it's really genius in my eyes. Like, even sideboard
I actually
doesn't
think it's
excite me as much as double deck because it's something that you can
Sideboard
really
is
in depth prepare for the tournament and all that.
I just want to
I
point
actually
in
think the
that
double deck
you
tournament from Hearthstone. It was
Sorry?
a Hearthstone. Hearthstone used the tournament double that before,
Something is happening
Yeah,
to Skype.
where Atmas got the
Yeah.
inspiration.
well, it
Oh,
yeah, he probably got some inspiration from the Hearthstone, but I'm also gonna just give mention to that it wasn't necessarily Atmas that did it, was Atmas and RNG. I don't know how the discussions came, but let's not forget the RNG's involvement in it. It's just that the Atmas hosted the stream for it, so
But
to
something
speak.
like that. I mean, the sideboard for the Mon tournament that's gonna come out on tomorrow. It might be a bit small, but but it should be a nice test to see if a sideboard tournament could work like that.
Um, I think sideboards are kind of like, especially when you're admitting the tournament, it's really hard to keep track of what the player has in sideboard and if he isn't breaking the rules. And it's just, did he really sideboard only 10 cards and he just add something else? If
Yeah.
he has 2 cards in sideboard, how do I make sure that he doesn't have
Well-
3 of them in his deck right now? And
The
like,
current
Uh,
sideboard system runs via Scrolldia and then they submit like just a 10 card deck list and then send it to us via deck image, and then we use that to keep track. So
And
we can literally look at his sideboard, and if he plays something other than that, well, then he's disqualified.
Yeah, but the thing is here that when it comes to that, and even in the double deck as well, but more so in the sideboard, you cannot look at all the matches. We can at the ESL you can have like 10 matches sometimes going on, depending how many. Maybe we only have 5 matches going on, but like there can be 10. And then let's say all of a sudden in one of them 10 we get a report that something went wrong there with what they used. That becomes
Well-
a real hassle to try figure it all out. If something has been wrongly used there and so on. So
Sorry, but isn't that the admin's job and the guy who accused the other person of doing something wrong? So
yeah,
you
it
put the
is
group
it is
together.
it is admin job, but you must have the tools to also execute the
Yeah.
job. And if you don't have the tools, then it doesn't matter if it is a big hassle. You need to still have the tools for it. I don't have a problem if it is a pain in the ass to do, as long as I can do it. If I cannot do it, then that is a issue.
Well,
So-
if the person brings proof, then you should be able to judge whether or not he's done it right. If he doesn't
Well,
bring proof, then his argument isn't valid.
How will he bring proof?
Screenshots.
of
Well,
what?
Screenshots. We have
so- the thing is-
scroll play.
No,
Well,
if
the thing is, it's so often people don't screenshot, and you would be like, well, just don't, just say that his accusation is invalid. And well, it often is a bit complicated than that.
let me give you an example of something you cannot ever prove, and that's unless the player streams the whole thing. If you have a growth deck without quakes, and in sideboard you have 2 quakes, or I don't know, god hands, let's say god hands. You have 2 god hands in sideboard and you have none in your deck. And when you are actually wanting to sideboard the god hands, you can put 3 in the deck and nobody will ever like know that you had 3 in there unless they are counting your cards. And that's like good luck to admins counting every card in the deck to make sure that he played exactly what he submitted. I think that having the tools is a really important point that the Overlord bring up. I think building those tools, if we let me start from
That
somewhere
is-
else. If we
That is a very valid argument. Yeah.
we want to test out as many competitive systems right now in beta. So when the time comes and development team has time to focus on making something in game, they could provide us with the tools that we need. That means if we decide that sideboards are the best competitive system, it would be cool to have it, and tell the devs when they have finally time to focus on competitive things, hey, could you please make in-game sideboard system that could help us control the players in our tournaments and all that. So I
Yeah,
think
at some point you just kind of have to rely on the goodwill of the people also.
yeah, and in future we won't have to, I hope. So it's really cool that we are testing many systems, and I think we'll hopefully have tools. But right now it's kind of scary.
Well, it sounds
I would like a lobby system.
yeah, I was about to come to you a bit, Simon. So you're interested in a lobby system?
Yeah, like
Yes.
so a match administrator, they could set up a match between the finalists like, in a tournament, and they could check both decks they submitted to you and start the
Just-
match. You could spectate.
Having the lobby to be able to set up who's going first that game would be huge for
That's
tournaments.
also true.
Oh yeah,
That would be
definitely.
huge.
I mean,
It will
that's-
come eventually.
being
by
able
the
to
way.
control something like that. Being able to control something like that would be incredibly huge. Yeah.
I think
mean,
it will
going-
come in time, and it will be amazing, but it's not the time yet. It's kind of sad.
Sorry, just typing here. Yeah, so I think I got a good impression from you people how you like to see some sideboard and the double deck and lobby and stuff. Is there something else you like to bring up before I'm gonna move on a bit more when it comes to the coming tournament we're gonna have with Growth and go some more into our ideas in what we might see there?
I would like
it
a
really
longer
sucks that there's a
term.
lot of.
Sorry.
Sorry. Go ahead. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I would like a longer term, like round robin style tournament, even because there was one thing that extra credits brought up, and it does kind of show and minimize the randomness that could happen over a longer time. If there's more matches, then obviously the better player wins more of the time. Therefore, it would show more clearly who is the best player.
Problem with that is that we had that, and it completely and utterly broke down. And
That's only because
now
people
that
interest in it. Like, it could
Yes.
happen. I feel if like more people took to it. I'm not quite sure.
I am too.
enough for that.
I'm too unfamiliar with these terms. Lobby, are you? Can you explain a bit what is a lobby tournament?
a waiting room,
A lobby is where
basically.
set up where you can choose what happens and how you set like match rules and stuff up. So, like,
So it's
don't know.
like, is that what you meant, Sark? Is that like the 1v1 we had before?
No, it's like lobby is in-game feature where you can, set the players in, set how long the turn times are, who's going first, check out their decks, and set some, spectators, maybe referees, whatever, to make some decisions in game and maybe interact with them in chat during the game, and all that cool stuff that most of the other games have. Yeah.
That sounds like
I mean,
a.
Arsenal makes it work without all that shit, but
If that exists within the game, I would be cool. But in like something like ESL, that sounds like it would take a lot of time
Yeah.
to be doing. With
they do it in
like,
StarCraft 2 without much of a problem.
Well, I don't really follow
Yes.
StarCraft to scene
No,
there.
but
I
they
don't-
do it in
I
StarCraft
don't-
2 without a problem. They can definitely make it.
Yeah, but in StarCraft 2 tournament, like, do they have these one evening tournaments there with this?
Oh yeah, definitely. They're called
Yeah, but the
qualifiers.
problem with StarCraft 2
they
is that
run
you don't
through them
choose
like
a certain deck list that you have to run. You get a whole faction to
no,
choose
you
from,
don't.
and
Ludwig, it's not a tournament type. It's not a system tournament. It's just an in-game feature that could be used to challenge each other. It's like something that tournaments would use to help, but it's not a system. I think you
Yeah,
sound a bit
and
confused.
I think anything like that would be sweet. Like anything in game that lets you do, so to speak, custom battles would be probably very appreciated from the player base, as they probably like to set out their own rules in some matches just for the fun of it, to spice things up. All right, but I'm gonna for now move on. We can still touch on these kind of ideas and topics as well, but we have growth coming up, and so what do? Anyone remember how All-Star growth went last time? My way it was quite some
yeah.
time ago, but I have some vague memory. There was like a lot of fast game with
Whoever drew the
enchanting your
first
big
rally
guy.
crystal usually won.
Uh, um, it was more the old, like, not, I guess we call it aggro growth, more like
You
god
know,
hands and totems and rally crimson
Quakes
balls,
and
quakes, a lot of quakes, and it was kind of exciting to watch and play in. I got to play final in that one, lost a few.
it was a very
Won it,
volatile
not sure.
matchup.
Yeah, it can change quite a lot. But now with enchantment growth, I'm not so sure it'll be that as exciting as the last one, because it's more, if you get your big creature up first, you win, as there is
All
no
right,
removal.
who gets the first Oakling? Who gets the
Exact-
first Oakling?
Exactly, it's like more, because there is no removal. I feel like it may be a bit more down to RNG than the other tournaments.
Has
Tim Porter was pretty RNG.
Oh, we are
Yeah,
predicting. I just realized we are
Yes.
predicting, right? Unground is kind of good against that.
Yeah, I was about to ask that. Do you think people will really use Verdant Veil in their decks? Because if they don't, then on ground could be a solid choice to deal with Oaklings and such.
well, on grounds are good, but they still do a lot of damage to idol. That's a
Yeah,
good
but
thing.
I'm just saying, what is your other options?
Exactly, you kind of like have to run that card.
Running
Yeah.
Verdant Veil as a counter to Unground is so meta that it's not even worth it.
No,
I'm just- Yeah.
I think you misunderstood me, Sark. I
What
said
it?
that I don't think people are necessarily gonna run Verdant Veil because there's so little to ward against that you could probably get away with it running Unground in your deck to deal with whatever you cannot
Yeah.
remove.
I think
So-
Mining Root could work as well.
I'm not sure will completely help you out and save you in a game where they get their Oakling out quickly.
I think
Some
Sark.
of my teammates have discussed Binding Root. That could work. Just
Yeah,
remove
so
the creature.
that is a good point from Sark there. Do you think, like, if you have some big creature you need to remove but you have no removals, is the best option to like go with Unground, or will the best option to lock it down with Binding Root?
Binding route is much better.
That depends. Like if it's in the middle, it's kind of putting you in a difficult position where you are split. So it depends where the
But it-
opening
You
is.
kind of have to lure it down, right? You kind of have to lure it down to like the
Yeah,
fourth
and
row,
at that
fifth
point
row.
you invested like 8 to 9 scrolls. Nah, like 3 to 4 scrolls you'll invest to lure it down and then binding root it, and then you are still sacrificing idols, and he has 3 of those in his deck. It's
If you
But if you think about it,
immediately
Binding route
disengage
keeps the enchantments on the board. Therefore, he can't use them again if they're just on the board doing nothing, hitting a
so
dead
you're
idol.
you're at least you're breaking even, and it's just there.
if you sacrifice
On
one
ground, he
creature,
can like
and
he gets his enchantments back to use again.
if you sacrifice one creature to lure him down and then you binding root him, you are trading 2 for 2 and sacrificing one of your idols. And
Well, not necessarily 2 for 2. He could put like double stag heart.
if
which
he
is
does,
also
then
very
it's good
huge.
trade, of course. But if he doesn't, it's not as good.
Or they're just
Well,
not really
if
worth
this is a
binding.
mirror matchup, you're not going to be able to run the perfect counters to every match, to everyone. If you do get screwed on your own wildling draws, then you need some way to at least
Yeah.
delay the matchup until you can kill it
And-
yourself, your bigger wildling.
I'm not saying Binding Root is bad choice. I'm just saying that Unground could be better in some choices, and maybe running both
Doesn't Gunground get screwed over by
by
Magic
Magic
Armor?
Community. No, yes, it does. But on the other hand, if the Oaklink will be so big that Binding Root will be bad idea. Actually, no. Fuck me. What else?
I mean, yeah, so
Eventually
if
he will
Magic
die.
Armor screws it over and the Oakling, and they just start dealing damage that way, then the Oakling could actually sustain quite a big amount of damage before it dies. I mean, it's gonna have 10 health. That's not
yeah,
just gonna
but
die.
you have to keep in mind also
That's
when it
2
comes
full
to,
idols for it to
Yeah.
die. I mean,
just to give an
Yeah.
argument to Unground, you have to keep in mind that Growth often put out quite a lot of units, and if they don't put out a lot of units, they put out units.
yes, but for an
that
Oakling to
leads
die
a lot
from
of damage.
underground damage,
And on ground gives damage for both sides. So it's not just you need to hit the idol, then it's
still
also
more than 2 full idols have to be sniped in order for
Well,
it to
here's
actually die.
Here's a different question about it. If you're gonna try the binding root approach, would you run binding root or would you run Dryadic power? Which one would you
I don't
choose?
see why you
That
couldn't run
is
both.
Both.
Um,
Put all the growth scrolls in.
I'd suggest.
Every single
I mean, you're not. As soon as you're binding rooting the wildling, you're electing to not kill it because you can't, right? If you can kill it, you're not just going to waste a binding root on it. So if you run Dryadic Power instead, you can actually get some extra power on the field that way. I feel that's a better choice, actually.
Who was it that said why not run both?
It's me. Oh,
I think both of you too.
Would result,
I agree.
what
Let's-
would result in dead cards.
I like to hear from Simon. Simon, why would
Well,
you run?
Because they will, over the course of a game, last long enough that you're binding off, and you will need to lock down your units. So having more cards be able to lock units, and Dryadic Power can be used for your own thing as well, which is another use.
I've got a.
And it's just a good enchantment in general.
I found a solution, by the way.
Alright, what is the solution?
Deathcap Berserker.
Well, not really. If they are, for example, Oak Blooded, it only deal 1 damage.
No, it. Wait, no. I mean, unleashing their power. Sorry.
Death Cup Berserker on your home
Yeah,
units.
unleashing the power is
Unleashing
Oh, yeah,
their power.
Unleashing the Power's good.
Yeah.
that would be actually a solid choice. Anyone else?
That's actually removable. It's removable. Cool. You could do that.
I scream just solve the big dilemma.
No, I think. Here's the thing. Like, in growth, it's going to be big RNG, like, the whole tournament. So, I don't think, like, focusing on things like Wildlink and Oakblood is as important as to just getting the good draws and getting the power on board, because if you get the power on board, then you can just overpower the one Wildlink. Plus you have your own Wildlink, so it will all just be on who can get the board control early, and then he wins.
Yeah, but true. But you are in a very sucky situation if you face something that you don't have a single answer to, and that is like why it's unfair craft about it. Like, what could you put in your deck that is, for example, Dryadic Power, that is a bit flexible, but you could use to solve these kind of issue if they arise? Because if you have no answer at all, then you're not getting a best of 3, as we have touched on earlier. It's this best of 1. You better find an answer at some point.
At least for the first 2 rounds.
Simon, what do you feel about Unleashing the Power?
I think it's a brilliant scroll, especially if you can use Unleashing about a Quake. You can just remove it, and
No,
you can use it for attack.
it
why
will
not?
reduce the quake to 1 damage, so
Oh, has it got magic armor? I didn't know that.
yeah.
Oakblood has magic armor, so yeah. Yeah.
That is true.
That is if it's using Oak.
Yeah, but if it's got like
it's
double
not like
stag-hearted
this.
brave, then
I
Legion
don't
of
think
Power.
they're gonna be using Verdant Veil, my friend.
No, but
I-
as Simon said, sometimes you face something that is very stag-hearted. In that case, it works.
You do. But
Like
Oh,
I think
what
of these, and
wildling.
it's also
We need to
using your
assume-
own creature. Sometimes, if you really want to deal a lot of damage quickly, then
yeah,
always good on
flexible
a
scrolls are
flank
really
there.
the flexible
No.
answers are really the best way to go.
Yeah,
Now,
Legion of Power is good scroll overall. I mean, we have seen it used in past, and not against wildlings, but against what was it, harvesters and witch doctors and all that. So it's a really solid
Reminds me.
scroll to have in.
It reminds me, I was wrecked recently on ladder by a person who ran Legion of Power plus Quake, and whenever I
Yeah.
thought I had the advantage with my Sullen Giant, he would just Unlegion of Power it, and then he would immediately Quake me. It was rather annoying.
and
Yeah, you take that.
you people touched on this, or at least I think Ice Cream was the one who touched on that. A big factor in the growth mirror will be who will be able to like spam out their creature and get the board presence first.
Yeah.
Is there perhaps a valid approach to try deal with it a bit by including some spiky in your deck? I'm thinking, I don't think Ilthorn in itself is
We
worth
will
it,
not
but
be running Thorn.
but I mean like
Skythorn?
is Skythorn
I don't
a
think so.
valid
Like-
valid choice?
If
No.
it's 3-cost structure that does nothing for you in terms of getting the board advantage and can be played around, then it's really not doing enough for you. And it's spiky 1, if I'm correct. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
spiky 1.
they
so
all
it's,
have spike. That is a big issue with them. It's just
Yeah, it's real bad. Even spiky 2. It's
Growth
like,
doesn't have.
Are you telling me Ilthorn Sheet, like Ilthorn Seed, should be run in a competitive
No,
deck?
no. Actually, yes, you should
yes,
run it. You
yes,
should
It's actually
definitely run it.
decent. It's got magic off.
Look,
should
I
run
was actually going to
Go
bring
run it.
up Ilforn Seed because Ilforn Seed, I don't think
I would rather run Crone.
we get into Crone later actually.
Mhm.
But Ilforn Seed, I just want to bring up that I don't think it's actually that shitty of an option to run Ilforn Seed. The reason is
Binding Root Crone. Best combo.
Ilforn Seed, it costs 1. With Spiky, it is in mirror going to deal 1 damage as well at some point. And with the Ilforn Seed, you get for 1 cost, you get in a sense 4 units in a row. And you're gonna get that free health structure that will deal 1 damage. For 1 cost, it's not that shitty of a option, I would say.
if you need to protect something, it's okay. But I don't think the situations are like as needed. I think having another scroll in there is more useful. It's not
I
like
think
50.
what's more use.
Sorry.
I think what's more useful is Essence Feast. The
Uh,
surprise Essence Feast. To heal your idols up to full again, and then deal extra damage to idols. I think it'll be good. I'll go.
Do you though?
What?
It feels like
costs 4.
it feels like no, SSV. It does it cost 4 on live?
I thought it was-
Maybe it
Oh,
does.
it costs 2 now.
I think it costs
I can't
2.
remember.
But I
costs 2 now?
mixed test
Right.
server and live server a bit. But I think it costs 2 in live as
Yeah,
well.
I did as well.
It doesn't.
Uh,
Alright, well then it's decent.
But I'm feeling when it comes to Essence Feast, where you don't really need a heal for your own idols, and I feel like when you can hit 3 idols or such, with it just feels that
you
when
kind of already
when
won.
you're able to take the win, you're probably dominating the board because growth is very snowbally, and you have snowballed yourself to victory. I don't really feel the need for a Essence Feast, but I might be wrong. Maybe Essence Feast is good for somehow
Maybe
sniping.
surprise. Maybe surprise.
Wildling will be the best card
but-
ever.
But Simone, are you also against the thought of having Ilforn Seed? Is that totally a dreadful?
Hmm.
By the way, many cannot see you
I'm
nod,
kind of now
Sark, as
considering
many,
it an
many will
active
probably
thing.
just
Not-
listen to the podcast, and Sark is nodding all the time like, yeah, it's a dreadful idea, it's a really, really dreadful idea, Ilforn Seed, it's a dreadful idea. Just so you know.
a horrible scroll! Stop
Wait,
trying to
not in
The
this
more I think
case,
about it,
not in this scenario. It's not that dreadful.
You guys are
It's like
insane.
think about it, the more I realize that it's actually not as bad as I think it is. I still
It's a
think there's better
Corrupted
run.
him.
Like,
You've corrupted him.
It's a one cost for a guarantee 1 damage and 1 extra unit on the board. It's not that dreadful, but I'm not sure if it's worth it just for the deck space. Like it will take
There are
space for
1,000
something
better
else.
options. It's a dreadful scroll.
Not in mirror. I don't feel it's that dreadful in mirror.
Here's the thing,
For
I think
reasons I gave.
with how many growth scrolls we have and how many of them are considered good, I don't think 50 slots is enough, so including something like Essence Feast is not an option because there's just plain better and less situational scrolls in there. So why would you include Essence Feast?
Well, now we were talking a bit about. I can agree
Oh.
with the essence fees, but we were jumping back again to the
Ilthorn Seed?
Ilforn Seed. Yeah.
Same situation. It's like two situational, there are straight better scrolls, like straight up better scrolls in there. Why would you include something more
Well, you
situational?
can be pretty sure that you're probably gonna lose a unit. And if you put like a rat in front of your guy, it's not like he's gonna move the rat with a potter or something. It's gonna die, and it's gonna become then a Ilforn for the one cost. And so you had 4. They need to go through like 4 guys in that row then. So, you already know, like, let me put it this way. You already know how much trouble Growth has with Witch Doctors. And that is pretty much for this whole scenario that they summon this Husk as well. So it's a really annoying block to get.
But with
And this is not on the level, but it has that mechanic. And it has the low spiking, and it costs 1, which makes it from dreadful to a plausible ID to have.
with Growth, you have so many chump blockers. Like Growth has half of its deck are chump blockers. You don't need more of those really, and having two in there. Yeah, it's not like.
Witch Doctor is good because you don't need extra cards to generate that chop blocker. You're spending a card to get
Witch
you're
Doctor's
spending
better
a
than
card.
which is bad.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
you are not including a different card, but if you want to run it, Ludwig or the Overlord, you can run it. I'll support you, and I'll be happy to see somebody else win if you run it.
Well, I will probably test it, but I'm probably just again gonna be modding and not really participating this time around again. So sorry about that. I'm not one of those excited guys when it comes to All Star. I don't really feel it with All Star, but
I was so disappointed when you weren't in the order one.
that I was planning to participate, but I took wrong in time and came home too late. Anyway. So, unless someone else wants to say something with Ilforn Seed, I don't think so. That would be like Simon, because you were saying a bit how we thought about it. It was not too dreadful, but
better things to run. Better things to run.
Yeah, and I can agree to that. Like, I'm not sure what I would
Bunny.
take out for it. That
I wouldn't take out Bunny, that's for sure. Bunny's better than Ilforn.
I don't think you had Bunny in to begin with. But let's actually touch on Crone. I personally actually think Crone is the only downside I feel with Crone is that Growth has their like Crimson Ball and such which makes it so you can use like a rat to kill the Crone. And that is a bad trade.
Well, Enchantment Growth doesn't run Rat King. Oh wait, Oaklink does. I'm stupid.
But otherwise, if you can, it's not a bad option to have Crone in the mirror. So, what are your thoughts about Crone?
It's gonna help you kill. It can help you kill the Wild Thing if you're on enchantment with Binding Root, I guess. But
your opponent can choose to go against it. So unless you combo, not to go against it. So unless you have 3 of them in all 3 lanes, or you have Binding Root to accompany it, it's not going to be a good trade. Plus, it's 2 health, so it dies to Quake, and it's very easy to kill with the rats and owls and all the chump creatures and ragged wolves. It's not that hard to put down. Ragged Wolf plus Totem is a dead crone. It's like your opponent has the ability to control what happens with the crone, and that makes it not usable in my eyes.
And you, Sark?
There's definitely a precedence for using her, I guess, if you really want to kill your opponent's wildlings. But I really do feel that, again, there's just better things to run. I mean,
Yeah.
most of the time, if you're that desperate to counter, if you're that desperate to try and counter your opponent's deck, you're gonna end up screwing yourself over.
Yes.
I mean, of course, we're all like, there's gonna be Oaklings, but Blinky has a deck that doesn't run Oaklings, and that does really well. And late game growth has also been making a return, and wouldn't run Oaklings. And there's just we're talking about running 6 cards that would almost be dead in anything other than Oakling.
No, it's 3 cards.
You should like my
You can
advice.
also-
6 cards.
I'm
Oh,
not going to play
Binding
it.
Root and
My
Well,
advice
that's it if you're
is
wrong.
focus your deck on you being the aggressor, you executing your game plan, and not trying to control the opponent's game plan. That's not going to work out for you. You have to have
Bro
your game
can't play
plan,
control.
try and execute it, and get the control, and you be the director of the game. That's
I
what
was just
you
about to
need
say
win.
that Crone, your opponent controls who kills it, and who kills it, so who dies basically. So you basically have to play it and hope that they're stupid enough to run their wild,
Yeah.
which isn't
The
going to happen
thing
in a
is-
competitive one.
The thing is, the way I approach it, it's not that I'm trying to counter something. Like I'm trying to think, how do I deal with a Oakling? It's not just to counter that. It's more that I'm trying to identify Grove's weaknesses and to try to come up with some scrolls
And-
that could be flexible and useful for the thing. Because yes, you're right, Ice Cream. You should focus on you're the aggressor, you're the one who takes board control. But the thing is, not both can succeed with that. One will fail.
Yes.
And if you're the one who fail, it is to your advantage if you had that in mind. Okay, I failed. What do I fall back on? And then you have some card to fall back on it.
I
to
don't
try.
think in Growth Mirror, I'm not too sure. I mean, it's
We're
possible,
all
but
so sure that it's gonna be Oakling versus Oakling, right?
yeah. In
No.
Growth Mirror,
But maybe
No,
that could
I actually don't think
Maybe
Oakling
that could
is
be
gonna
other
have
deck-
that much.
Sorry.
I
Maybe there
think
could be other deck archetypes in it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's one thing. Plus, I really don't think that in Growth Mirror, once you lose that board presence, anything except Quake that your opponents let you come back is going to help you, because Growth is just that resource or faction that lets you overpower it and overpower the opponent. And if you get the board control, like in Growth Mirror, I don't think you can really come back. There's not too much potential for comeback. So I really wouldn't try to squeeze in the comeback scrolls that could hurt you in your opening hand and in your opening place to
having,
get the actual board control.
I would
Having
say,
deck
as a
cards is
counterpoint to
bad.
that, if you're playing late game growth, you need the comeback, and then so you could potentially run a lot of comeback scrolls, and you out of the game,
I
well,
mean,
not out of the game, but like losing
Oakling
boards.
does
and-
run Rat King and lots of 2 health minions to cheap
Exactly.
2 health chump blockers to support the Oakling
and then you get
combo.
your god hand, and then suddenly you're back in the game, back in control. Gonna
I
Come back.
like to address just a question as we are running out of time here. That we've been often bringing up the Oakling thing, but what kind of decks do you actually think will come? Do you only think
Late
that
game growth. Sorry.
Creature spam, not
Spam.
too many walls.
Spam.
I don't think too many walls will be there, but creature spam and some of enchantment. But I think creature spam will be the most prominent.
Late game growth, aggro growth, and enchantment Oakling bullshit.
isn't that like the three archetype that exist in competitive?
yeah,
Like,
Basically.
exist.
so Sark bet on we're gonna see everything.
I don't think we'll
Everything-
see that
Well,
much late
everything
game.
is a possibility. I mean, we saw melee energy in the Energy All Stars. I mean, everything's possible.
I don't think we'll see too much of a late game growth because
someone's gonna find a way to run it. Trust me.
Well, they'll find, but they will lose to RNG and get knocked out
That is
early
true.
on.
Which is why we need best of threes.
Yes, but you don't have it, so why would you run late game growth?
If someone is running late game, they're probably betting quite a bit to get their Quake and maybe Frostgale early on to just wipe it out and then get board presence when they have reached the late game.
I mean, RNG screws over Oakling much harder than it does late game growth, because late game growth has a better shot at drawing what it wants,
Which is the
because
reason why I'm saying that creature spam will be mostly
I would
there.
just like to point out,
Yeah.
does
think
would
his
the
act
Druidic
growth
power
might
work
go
for
up.
Owl? Can you still fly with Owl
Yes?
with Druidic power?
No? I don't know.
I actually think you cannot, and because I have some kind of memory that there has been complaints about that. It's like, why can't I fly with my Dryatic power? Because that was a strategy people had in mind. Like, I can open with the Owl and then Dryatic power, and then people notice I cannot move it. Like, it's flying! I should be able to move it. But I'm not sure if they have fixed that, or if it's still...
They have fixed it, sadly.
Okay.
Doesn't work with Dryatic. Alright, that's good to know.
Well, what? No. Wait. Sark said they fixed it, and Ice Cream is like, so it doesn't work. No, if they have fixed it, it does work. So, which one?
No.
It
what
doesn't
do you
work.
mean, sir?
It doesn't work.
Well, no,
it
if they
doesn't
fixed
work.
it, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
The thing doesn't
doesn't work.
work.
Then
Yes.
they have not fixed it.
No,
They have
because
not-
it's put.
How is it broken?
was a
It's not
bug!
broken.
Well, we just need a small book or small text that says somewhere flying when
counts
flying
for
has
me.
reduced movement, it cannot move at all.
No, what
And
I
then
said,
it's fixed.
Sark, the complaints were that Dryatic power is not working with flying, not that it did work.
We are getting lost in
Well,
language
well.
barriers, I think.
Well,
Come
there,
to
Mr.
Scrolls
Nitpick, you
language,
get
everybody.
the point. It doesn't work with
It
it.
doesn't work, and that's the
Yeah.
important thing.
But the confusion was real. Anyway,
Yes.
so I'm to send it off. I'm gonna say I'm also expecting quite the aggro spam, because trying enchantment deck and late game deck is probably gonna. You don't really have time for that against a aggro growth, so people probably gonna run aggro growth. That is my prediction. And Ice Cream, you had made a similar prediction, right?
Yep. Creature spam / I don't really know what's aggro growth, but I think that creature spam, with the
Blinkies,
pillaging
yeah.
guy that increases damage and
Wetland Rangers OP.
yeah, wetland rangers and all that, earthborn mystics for some stack cards, and also
I
zero countdown skill
Blinky's
things.
God hand?
acro growth. It's the acro growth deck.
And Sark, your prediction? What we will see
Yeah,
most
well,
of? Most.
We will probably. Blinky's acro growth seems like by far the best pick, because it's just a solid creature spam deck, and you're gonna get a lot of board advantage by doing it. Oakblood's major
Well-
strength and magic armor is mostly negated by the matchup, so people might just elect to not run it and run the just straight up aggro with just the stack cards and the champion rings instead.
I'm not gonna lie, I get very confused when you say enchantment growth, aggro growth, and then Blinky's aggro growth. I'm not sure quite what the difference is between the three.
Blinky was the one who invented the aggro growth, that's why.
I
Yeah, but
wouldn't
when you
do
say
that, but
aggro growth,
anyway,
what's that between that and enchant?
I think.
Well,
I-
you've got.
I
It's
can
just
agree
without
with
the.
you, Simon, but I think what they mean is that a aggro growth is a growth that don't really rely on enchantments necessarily.
Oh,
While some enchantment decks they more rely on all enchantment idea, like doing the oakblood widening stuff and things like that. But yes, it's a valid point that pretty much all growth is aggro. Even late game growth is to an extent aggro, actually.
Well,
but
the-
Simon, what kind of decks do you think we're gonna see from
I
your
bet-
own archetypes of library?
Aggro growth.
No,
No,
you don't think we're gonna see much enchantment oriented decks or such?
I expect to see some of the decks that focus around wildling. I've seen a few of them because you can't damning curse them because you don't have damning curses anymore. So they're pretty much safe unless they run on ground. Yeah, and also aggro growth, which is just creature spam, and maybe 1 or 2 late game growth. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm going to run yet, so could be either at all.
Dude, the tournament's in 2 days.
So
All right. So, David, any last words you like to give?
Yes. I'm sorry to everybody for not being too good at uploading the MP3s and YouTube thingies to iTunes and YouTube and VODs, you know, all that. I'm bad at it. Excuse me. That's all
You
I'm
are
gonna say.
forgiven.
Thank
You are
you.
forgiven, Ice Cream.
Thank you.
And Sark, any last words?
Keep calm and keep messing.
no.
Yes.
I see. And any last words, Simon?
Mind over matter tournament tomorrow, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have plugged that.
Very true.
That's good.
Oh, and follow me on Twitter.
I'm commentating it and I'm entertaining and stuff, so yay.
Yay.
Yay! Right, and my last words is have a nice day. And at some point, at some time over you will have a new day, and I'm happy for that.
Happy
ya.
New Day. Goodbye.
Happy New Day.